Hey everybody. So I wanted to take some time to go over our first lesson this week on the PowerPoint on Introduction to Writing. Let me go ahead and pull it up here on the screen. All right. So if you have looked at the course syllabus or watched the review video, you know that half of this class, the objectives, are geared towards basic composition skills, how to write an essay. So that is what we will be focusing on here in week 1 and in week 2. We will hit a couple of other smaller elements of essay writing in weeks 6 and 7. But here in weeks 1 and 2, we're really focusing on sort of like the major parts of writing an essay. So an introduction to writing, the writing process, introductory paragraphs, thesis statements, body paragraphs, and concluding paragraphs. That's what we will be covering over the next 2 weeks. So this lesson is just a little introduction. All right, so why would we write an essay? Okay, because there are all different types of essays. Not all of them are research essays, right? But it is all about communication, right? So every day we make claims and assertions verbally to our friends, to our coworkers, to our classmates, to almost anybody, right? You might make a claim like, I hate my job, or Cracker Barrel has great food at reasonable prices, or that exam was so unfair, or that doctor is so arrogant. You are making claims. And depending on who you're talking to, they don't necessarily challenge you to give reasons for your statements. They might allow you to expand if you want to, like, oh, I hate my job. And then you go on and vent about your job. If you're talking to a friend or a loved one, they will probably give you the space to do that because they're interested and they care about you. But they don't really demand reasons why you feel or think the way you do. They don't challenge you necessarily, right? You make the claim, they accept it, and maybe you elaborate or maybe you don't. And the conversation moves forward, right? But when you're writing, especially in an academic setting, your readers don't know you. They may not agree with you. They may not feel obligated in any way to believe you. So if you want to communicate effectively, you have to provide solid evidence or explanation for any point you make, any assertion or any claim you make. So an important difference between talking and writing is this. In writing, any idea that you advance, any idea that you state, has to be supported with specific reasons or details, examples, explanation. It must be supported. Sometimes your reasons and details and explanations might be your own ideas based on personal experience. Other times, your reasons and your examples and explanations might include research that you've gathered. That is what you'll be doing in this class, right? So an essay is a piece of writing that advances a focused idea or topic. An essay should consist of an opening paragraph called the introductory paragraph, and that introductory paragraph should end with your focused idea. Your focused idea should come at the end of that introductory paragraph. It's what we call a thesis statement. After that introductory paragraph, then you have your body paragraph. Each of those body paragraphs should directly relate to and support the focused topic that was in your thesis statement. So every body paragraph has to relate directly to that focused topic. The body paragraphs that support your thesis statement often consist of a series of reasons followed by examples and details that support the reason. Supporting evidence can also consist of anecdotes, personal experiences, facts, studies, statistics, expert opinions, right? The type of support you use is often determined by the type of essay you're writing or the main point that you are currently explaining in a paragraph. Different types of support lend themselves better to different types of essays and so forth. So your thesis statement will reveal your overall topic. Your body paragraphs will consist of specific ideas that fall under the umbrella of your overall topic. Okay, so let's take a look at, practicing looking at an overall topic versus the specific points being used to support that topic. So the overall topic is the umbrella. That's your thesis statement, your focused topic, what the essay is about. The specific points that fall under the umbrella would be the main points that you are developing in the body of the essay, right? So for instance, I might say Olive Garden is a great place to eat because of their cleanliness, their service, and their food, right? So my thesis statement is Olive Garden is a great restaurant because of these three things, right? That's my umbrella. My main points are cleanliness, service, and food. So I'm going to have body paragraphs that discuss how clean Olive Garden is. And I'm going to use supporting evidence to back that up. I'm going to have body paragraphs that then discuss the service at Olive Garden. And I'm going to have specific examples and supporting evidence to back that up. Then I'm going to have body paragraphs that discuss the food at Olive Garden. Specific examples and support for that main point, right? So you've got your thesis statement, your overall focused topic as the umbrella, and your main points are the ideas contained under that umbrella. Your main points that you will focus on in the body of the essay to help support the thesis statement. We will be learning a lot about thesis statements next week. So don't feel like you have to really understand exactly what they are just yet. But right now, what we're really thinking about is just, okay, every essay has a focused topic, and that topic will have several specific points that are developed to support that topic. Let's take a look at some examples here. All right, so let's say that we are writing a paper or having a conversation, and all of the specific examples that we are using are things like a runny nose. We have a whole paragraph about a runny nose, a whole paragraph about coughing, a whole paragraph about sneezing, a whole paragraph about sore throats, right? What is our overall idea? Is it symptoms? Well, that list, it is a list of symptoms, but goodness, that doesn't really tell us what the focus topic is, because symptoms could mean anything, right? Symptoms is too general. Is the overall topic of that list throat problems? No. Yes, one of the items is a sore throat, but runny nose, coughing, and sneezing don't relate to having a sore throat at all. That's too narrow. What is the overall topic that these specific points are supporting? It is likely cold symptoms, right? All four of those items relate to having a cold. So cold symptoms would be an acceptable topic for this list because it is not too general, not too big, but it's also not too narrow, too small. What about over here on the other side? So we've got an essay where one main point is explaining how you can leave sticky notes all over someone's car. And then the next main point is discussing how you can fill a person's office with balloons. Then you have another main point that just explains how you can cover the walls of a friend's living room with pictures of cats. Okay, so clearly we can see a theme. Is the overall topic here jokes? Well, no, jokes can come in many different shapes and sizes. And while the list here, these 3 items certainly are funny and are a type of joke, it does not encompass all types of jokes. So jokes in and of itself is just too general. That is not the topic, the overall topic of this essay. Practical jokes played on coworkers. Nope, that doesn't fit either, because one of these is about covering a friend's living room with pictures of cats. So it's not just about coworkers. This list of specific ideas are supporting points for the overall topic of practical jokes, right? Not just practical jokes on a coworker, not just practical jokes on a friend, just different types of practical jokes, right? All right. There's another set here if you want to take a look. Here, get what we need to look at next. Because really what we're doing here is just, sort of looking at how an essay will begin with a focused point, and then you will have main points that fall under that umbrella of your overall topic. Okay, let me find what I'm looking for next. There we go. Okay. Back here says that we're going to read a basic essay. Just a basic little essay, not a research paper. It's not like a super elevated concept or topic. It is about my job in an apple plant. Okay. You can find the essay located under the video if you'd like to pull it up and look at it yourself. We're going to look at it right here too. And again, just keeping in mind, we talked about an introductory paragraph and a thesis statement, and how the thesis statement is the overall main topic, focus topic, but it will contain specific ideas that are then developed in the body of the essay. So here we have my job in an apple plant. In the course of working my way through school, I have taken many jobs I would rather forget. I have spent 9 hours a day lifting heavy automobile and truck batteries off the end of an assembly belt. I have risked the loss of eyes and fingers working a punch press in a textile factory. I have served as a ward aide in a mental hospital, helping care for brain-damaged men who would break into violent fits at unexpected moments. But none of these jobs was as dreadful as my job in an apple plant. The work was physically hard. The pay was poor, and most of all, the working conditions were dismal. Okay, so he has made a statement how working in the apple plant was the worst job ever, and he gave us 3 focused points that he is going to talk about to support that claim. He's claiming that the apple plant was the worst job ever. He's going to prove it to us. How is he going to prove it to us? By showing how hard the work was physically, how poor the pay was, and how bad the working conditions were. Okay? Those three ideas fall under the umbrella of his focused topic. They are the main points that he is going to use to support his overall focused topic. He says, first of all, the job made enormous demands on my strength and energy. So that relates to the work being physically hard. For 10 hours a night, I took cartons that rolled down a metal track and stacked them onto wooden skids in a tractor trailer. Each carton contained 12 heavy cans or bottles of apple juice. A carton shot down the track about every 15 seconds. I once figured out that I was lifting an average of 12 tons of apple juice every night. When a truck was almost filled, I or my partner had to drag 14 bulky wooden skids into the empty trailer nearby and then set up added sections of the heavy metal track so that we could start routing cartons to the back of the empty van. While one of us did that, the other performed the stacking work of 2 men. Pretty hard work physically. I would not have minded the difficulty of the work so much if the pay had not been so poor. Right? That was the second thing he said about why it was such a bad job. I was paid the minimum wage at that time, $4.50 an hour, plus just 50 cents extra for working the night shift. Because of the low salary, I felt compelled to get as much overtime pay as possible. Everything over 8 hours a night was time and a half, so I typically worked 12 hours a night. On Friday, I would sometimes work straight through until Saturday at noon, 18 hours. I averaged over 60 hours a week, but could not take home much more than $220. But even more than the low pay, what upset me about my apple plant job was the working conditions. That was the third idea that he mentioned in the thesis statement. Our humorless supervisor cared only about his production record for each night and tried to keep the assembly line moving at a breakneck pace. During work, I was limited to 2 10-minute breaks and an unpaid half hour for lunch. Most of my time was spent outside on the truck loading dock in near 0-degree temperatures. The steel floors of the trucks were like ice. The quickly penetrating cold made my feet feel like stone. I had no shared interest with the man I loaded cartons with, so I had to work without job companionship. And after the production line shut down and most people left, I had to spend 2 hours alone scrubbing clean the apple vats, which were coated with a sticky residue. Right? Totally explains why the working conditions weren't great. I stayed on the job for 5 months, hating all the while the difficulty of the work, the poor money, and the conditions under which I worked. By the time I quit, I was determined never to do such degrading work again. All right, so everything in this essay relates back to this right here, right? How he is going to show us, he's making a claim that working in the apple plant was the worst job ever, even worse than these other jobs that he's had. And some of those sound pretty awful. But nope, this apple plant job is even worse than all of those. Why? Physically hard work, poor pay, bad working conditions. Everything in the essay sticks to that. Everything, every paragraph, every sentence, everything in the essay relates to those ideas in some way. He had 3 big reasons why the job was awful. Those were his main points. He supported each main point with specific examples and explanations. So not only did he convince us that the work was physically hard, he also convinced us that the pay was really bad, and he also convinced us that the working conditions were bad. So not only did he convince us of each main point, but by convincing us of each one of those, he convinced us of the main topic, which was that it was the worst job ever, right? So you have to have your primary support, which are your main points, and then you have to have your secondary support, which are all the examples and evidence you use in each of those main points. And if you do that, then you have an essay that does its job. Now, we're going to learn about all of those different essay elements, the different parts of an essay, but essentially what I want you to get from this is that you need to have a focused overall topic and then main points that will be used to support that topic. Each of those main points then will have its own support to explain each one. All of it together creates a well-developed, well-supported essay. Just like this one. Let's go back to the PowerPoint here. Right. All right, so what was the focus topic of the essay? Working in an apple plant was the worst job I ever had. What are the main topics that were given to support that, or the main points that were given to support that? The work was physically hard, pay was bad, working conditions were awful. And then we even talked about what specific examples were used to support each of those main points, right? So this was his focus topic. He supported that focus topic with these three main points, and each of these main points was supported with these specific examples, right? All right, so mastering the structure of writing an essay makes you a better writer because it makes you think about what you're actually trying to say, what you're really wanting to convey to people, and how you're going to do that effectively. It helps you stay focused, and it helps ensure that you know how to support and explain your idea. All about communication, right? Writing essays is going to strengthen your skills as both a reader and a listener as well, because you will come to expect, ideas to be connected, ideas to be supported, that sort of thing. It will make you a stronger thinker, right? But before you just jump into writing an essay, there's a few things you need to think about first. Something that we call the rhetorical situation. So the rhetorical situation has 5 elements to it, 3 of which are essential, right? But those 5 elements are topic, angle, purpose, audience, and tone. What does all that mean? All right, so topic. What am I writing about? What is my focused topic? I had a student at another school that I used to teach at. When it was time to do their argumentative research paper, he wanted to do his on the conspiracy theories associated with the 9/11 attack. And I'm like, dude, no. He was like, well, you don't believe they're real? And I'm like, no, it has nothing to do with what, no. There's a ton of them. Like, really? If you're going to go, if your goal is to convince me that these conspiracy theories are true, you really are going to have to give a lot of support and back it up, and it's going to take some convincing. You're going to have to really dig in. You're like, well, I can, I know a lot about it. I've been doing this and reading this. And I'm like, that's great. But think about it. How long will this essay be if you have to, even if you find it easy to do so, how long will this essay be if you have to support and go into detail about every single element of these conspiracy theories? And he was like, oh yeah, it'll be a bear, it'll be a monster. And I'm like, I don't want to read or grade a monster. Dude, if you don't have time, like this is due in 2 weeks. You have other classes, you have a life. No. You need to narrow your focus. I'm not saying you need to change the overall topic, the general vicinity of the topic. I'm saying you need to choose a very specific, focused component of this topic. Look at all the different conspiracy theories that are associated with 9/11 and pick one that you want to write about, and pick one that you can effectively write about and convince me of in, at this time, there's a different class, a 5-page paper. I will give you 6 pages. Do not go past 6, right? So that's what we mean by topic here in the rhetorical situation, is not just what's the general, idea, what's the general topic, what is the narrow focused topic? What is your angle? Meaning, no matter what your focused topic is, it is likely not a brand spanking new topic to humanity. It is likely a topic, even as focused as you've made it, it is still likely a topic that many people have already written about. So what are you bringing to the table that is new or different? Why should I read your essay on this focused topic when I've already read 50 essays on this focused topic? What are you bringing to the table that is different or unique? How does your perspective make this topic fresh and interesting again? What is your purpose? Why are you writing about this topic? What do you want to happen as a result? What do you want me to gain by reading it? What do you want me to walk away with? What is driving you to choose this focused topic in this specific direction? What do you want me to get out of it? What do you want the readers to gain from your paper? That leads us, and these 3 elements, right? Topic, angle, purpose. Those are the 3 essential ones. But we also have, let's see, audience. Yeah, audience. Who's reading it, right? And don't just say my instructor. Yes, it is very likely that I am the only one who will read it. I mean, here in this class, you will do a peer review, so at least one of your classmates will read it. But, just even in other classes that you might take where you have to write something, whether it's just a normal essay, a research paper, or even just like a 1-page response to something, who's your audience? Don't just say my instructor, because even if literally that is the only person who will read it, you should be writing it as if there is a larger audience at play. Maybe it's your classmates that you're thinking about. Maybe it's, anyone in the nursing field, no matter how long they've been in the nursing field. Maybe your audience is anyone in healthcare, period. Maybe your audience is anyone and everyone, because we are all affected by healthcare industry issues on some level. You got to think about who your overall audience is. And you might have like different levels. Like, well, my primary audience are people that have this specific job, but this group of people over here would probably benefit from reading my essay as well. So you can have primary and secondary and tertiary audiences. But someone needs to be in the back of your mind. There needs to be some group of, a group of people or a classification of people, a category that you are thinking about when you are writing your piece. You need to anticipate what they already know about your topic, why they would be reading it, what they might want out of it. Is your purpose to simply inform them of these ideas? Or is your purpose to try to convince them of something, to persuade them? What type of language and wording should be used, right? Like, are you okay to use like really super technical jargon? Or should you use language and vocabulary that the average reader will understand, right? What tone should you use? Who your, theoretical or hypothetical audience is can determine a lot about what you write and how you write it. So don't forget about them, because your audience is not just me. Your tone. All right, so if you're writing for an academic setting, you want your tone to be professional, formal, but not necessarily super formal and stuffy. You still might want it to sound sort of business casual, but you certainly don't want to make it sound like you're talking to your everyday friends or your children or anything like that. You want to make sure that that you are conveying your own perspective appropriately with your tone. The next few slides sort of give you a little overview if you aren't really understanding what tone is. I've got some examples here of different sentences that are all about the same idea. It's just different ways of expressing the same idea, but each one comes with its own tone. And then you match them up. But that's for you if you need to come back and practice with tone. So what I want to say here is that, you need to think about that rhetorical situation once you have your topic in place, right? So you will choose your topic in project part 1, and then you'll have to do some pre-writing and free-writing and answering some general questions. And hopefully that will lead you to a focused topic. You want to also be thinking about your angle. What can you bring to this topic that will make it seem like I'm reading about it for the first time? What is your purpose? What do you want us to get out of it? What are you hoping to accomplish by writing about this topic? Think about your audience, right? That will help determine what and how you write. Think about your tone. Make sure it is appropriate yet effective. And know that all of this is a process. We're going to learn more about the writing process and pre-writing and drafting and revising and all of that. And we will learn about it as if it is a linear process, but it's not. It's often very messy, right? So don't worry if you think you have a focused topic and then you change it. Don't worry if you feel like, you're not quite sure what your angle is. You can figure it out. Keep thinking about it. Try to understand what your purpose is right away. Think about who your audience is. But when it comes to all of this, and especially once you do start writing, the process is never linear and it's never straightforward. It is often recursive and messy, and that's just the way writing is. But what I want you to get from this is that having that rhetorical situation in mind will help, in part, ensure that you have that focused topic with those main points to help support it, just like we looked at with the apple plant essay. All right, so if you have questions, definitely reach out. Otherwise, go ahead and move on to the next lesson on the writing process, because I get into more like the pre-writing techniques and using outlining and drafting and revising. Just a little overview of the writing process before we get into actual essay elements next week. Okay. Yeah, reach out if you have questions about this lesson. Otherwise, go ahead and move on to the next one.